First order of business will be reading the public comment protocol announcement. Public comment will be taken at the end of each board meeting. Persons wanting to address the board should sign up on the sheet provided. That's below the podium there. Speakers will be called in the order they are signed up. Comments should be limited to specific topics relevant to the board. At the board's discretion, limited comment may be allowed on individual agenda items during the course of the meeting as invited by the chair. And finally, all board meetings shall be recorded, including public comment periods. Okay, welcome everybody. Any adjustment to the agenda, or I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any further comment on the agenda? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, we got a new board member. Caitlin Crossett, right? Crossett, I'm going to pronounce that right, is our newest board member. The city of Asheville appointed her at their meeting last week, and she fills the unexpired term of Evan Kuzo, who moved on to Iowa. And we understand it's pretty cold up there right now. So anyway.
Don't feel bad.
But Caitlin's she's an assistant professor at the University of North Carolina at Asheville. So she's going to continue the role really that Evan brought to us all the way back in the day. So we welcome you, Caitlin, and I'll let you say a few opening remarks if you'd like to.
Sure. I just want to say thank you, and I'm looking forward to kind of working with everyone on the board and everyone at the agency. I'm not quite the air quality expert that Evan is, but I'm really looking forward to learning from all of you. My background's more on kind of climatology, and more applied climate type stuff. So anything to help other people that's related to climate is what I'm really interested in. So,
Well, welcome. Glad you're aboard. Okay, next item is our special presentation to our special guest. Let's go. Come on up, Betsy. You're gonna open screw up, right? Betsy's been around a long time. A heck of a lot longer than I have. By all the special people. Very impressed with the chamber. From a personal standpoint, I've watched you take on so many different roles, and whatever was necessary, it seemed like you would do the task. So you're going to be missed. But Ashley's going to say some of the more gooey words.
Also, you're recognized Betsy, and she'll be here till January 31st. We're really excited for her, but we're definitely going to miss her. I met Betsy in 1999 when I went to work for a environmental consulting company called STS Technologies, and our friend Vic Farr was there along with Betsy, and we had a great time, learned a lot there, and she worked there for several years. And back at STS, Betsy, similarly to here, held many roles. And here since she's been at the agency, she's been in technical position, administrative position. There's never really was a position that fit. We finally got to rewrite the job description to fit her, but don't tell HR because you're supposed to do that. But then we had to rewrite it again, knowing that she was going to retire and that there wasn't going to be somebody that could do all of those things. So, Betsy's been a great friend. She's always positive, upbeat, represents the agency with numerous different county departments, and had a lot of people come out, wish her well, and a lot of people decide, are going to miss her here at the county. Certainly are, and appreciate all that she's done for us over the years, and especially your friendship. Also, she's graciously offered to let us call her on the phone when we have questions, and so we're going to try not to call her too much. But honestly, it's been a pleasure, and I will give Shaw their official. You know what?
Mr. Plackett, we want to hear some words.
So, well, you know that I am never short of things to say. It really has been so much fun. There's a part of me that thinks, why am I retiring? But I just knew it was time. And now we have all these great people come into the agency. We've been so lucky. Hannah's going to take over for me, and she's going to be so much more organized than me. And she's going to get all this stuff done that I didn't get done. And Alice has come in and, you know, breathed fresh light and seen all these, you know, just dug right in and, you know, to make things better and more efficient. And I miss Kevin, but Steve's been great. I really enjoyed talking to you. Alex saved us pretty much when we hired him because he, you know, the three of them hit the ground running. You know, Alex was, he got us caught up on a lot of things. It's just been really wonderful. Mike has been my assistant for years. You know, I don't know what I would have done without Mike. I certainly don't know what I would have done without James. He has made me look good on a lot of the stuff that you guys have looked at. You know, he's fixed things for me, and I think he's behind the thing. But I have to thank Vic because he really got us started. You know, Ashley, me, probably affected James too. But I want you to know that I found a document that you had done the other day. There was a typo, and I was so excited. It is so rare, and I have to give you a hard time because I'm so excited. I went to Ashley. It was just like the date didn't get changed, but you know, Ashley's been the best boss ever. That's what I tell everybody. You know, you will never get a better boss than Ashley. She's very supportive. She's a great person. She was made for this role. She was ready for it. She had planned. She, you know, she's done everything that she said she would do. She'll keep this place going, and it's better than it's ever been. And boy, I could just keep talking. That's what I do. But it's just been the best family for me, and I'm just really happy to have been able to work here. So, and know all of you guys and Arnie, you know, we missed you when you left, but I'm glad that there's a reconnection and you know, it's just been wonderful. And thank you guys, and I'll stop talking.
All right, now we go on to some of the more mundane stuff. Consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting on December 2nd. If you've had a chance to look at those, I'd entertain a motion to approve them.
So move.
Moved by Ned. Second. Second by Gary. Any corrections to the minutes? Any other comments? All right, hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. No one finished business, and so we move on to Ashley's director's report.
Okay, thanks, Joel. So our first item is introduction of new staff. Hannah Rhodes comes to us from the nonprofit world. She's been hired as the Air Quality Administrative Coordinator, and we're really fortunate to have her here. Welcome, Hannah. She was the operations manager over at Children's First, and she's also worked for a conservation environmental group, nonprofit, various experience, business background, and we're really excited to have her. Really fortunate and appreciate the board allowing us to have some overlap with her and Betsy's position. She's been here a week, so she's got about 3 weeks or so to work with Betsy total, which of course isn't a lot of time, but they've been really going over a lot of things, and it's great to have some overlap. And again, we're grateful that Betsy is willing to let us call her, but hopefully not too much. So we're really excited to have Hannah here, and we still have a lot of work to do as far as our reorganization. We've got a great team and thrilled to have Allison and Steve, and now we just have to sort of find our way as a team since we're all new, working together and going over processes and who's doing what and kind of working through some things. But it's really exciting and just think we have a great team and appreciate the board's support.
Welcome.
So next up, I had some Tropical Storm Helene updates from last time. And what we're really doing here lately is staying really busy with all of the open burning and air curtain incinerator use for the storm debris. That's really picking up since our last meeting in November. So I don't know if you have that map. Steve put together a nice map of the air curtain incinerator locations. Currently, we have Biltmore Estate has 3 different locations. So we have 5 that we have approved for use right now. The Biltmore is just 1 unit. There's 3 different places that they might operate it. So far, I think that there's only 1 actually operating, which is the one at Buncombe County landfill, and it's operating on a limited basis under its permit. So these are keeping us pretty busy. And in addition to that, we have also given permission to 2 sites so far to open burn storm debris. And so those are ongoing as well. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot more requests. Under our rules, entities are required to ask permission to open burn storm debris, and they have to be at least 500 feet from the nearest occupied dwelling. So that's similar to land clearing open burning. And we are encouraging the use of these air curtain incinerators because they do emit less smoke and they're more efficient. So we can't require that, but we are encouraging those. And so, we've been busy with that. There's a lot of regulations on the air curtain incinerators. There's federal regulations, at least 4 different federal regulations. And then we have our state rules as well. And so, depending on the size of the unit and a lot of different factors, that gets pretty involved. So right now, previously, you're required to have a Title V permit to operate an air curtain incinerator, and EPA made some changes to the rules back before Helene that not all of them had to have a Title V permit, but unfortunately, the changes were limited. However, the state of North Carolina has been great. They have been asking EPA for some regulatory relief so that we can get some of these units operating without having to have Title V permits. And we did get a no action assurance letter from EPA written to North Carolina that allows these units in the disaster declared areas to operate without Title V permits. They still have standards they have to meet. We have to keep track of those, but they don't have to get the Title V permits. We've also been given permission from EPA to grant extensions because these are temporary. However, we know that they're going to be here for quite a while. It looks like the Army Corps of Engineers has estimated about 10 million cubic yards of storm debris. And so far the county, in Buncombe County, they've picked up about over 700,000. So it's only about 7%. But we hope that number, that the 10 million is high and overestimate. But I know that over in Haywood County, they've been operating an air curtain incinerator for storm debris after, was it Fred? For 2 years now. So we're expecting to see similar situations here. The most recent one that we have given permission to operate is at the Riverside Stump Dump, which is within 1,000 feet of our regulatory monitor at the Board of Education. So we have, we're going to be watching that one very carefully, and we've given them approval for 8 weeks, and we'll see how that goes. And Steve will talk more about this when he gets to the monitoring update, but we have a lot of sensors out in the community, so we can keep an eye on those. And you probably saw there was a debris pile out in Weaverville that was on the news because it got set in the middle of the night. So that's been impacting the neighbors, a lot of smoke that's still burning. So there's a lot going on with open burning right now. Just looking at James, did I leave anything out on the
I think you got it.
Okay. Any questions about that?
Yeah, I have a question or two. What is the agency doing for those who are burning without permits, wildcat burning?
Not a lot. When we find out about them, we just want to make sure that the biggest, the setback requirement of the 500 feet is the main thing. That's really the only tool that we have, making sure that they're burning only legal material, of course, and not synthetics. So we're checking on those as we come across them. But we know that there's a lot of debris burning throughout the entire state where where we're not getting requests for permission. So there's only, again, we're just monitoring it and trying to, we find somebody that doesn't have the 500-foot setback, then we can address that. But it's not something where we're actively, driving around looking for these things.
Is there anything new on who set the fire in Weaverville?
No, right now it's still under investigation by the Forest Service as lead agency. We did give permission after the fire was set and it was smoldering, and they have officially asked us for permission to open burn what's left of that pile, and we did give them permission to go ahead. We were hopeful that if they could burn up that material rather than it's been smoldering for many days. And so we did grant permission from that, and we are watching that. They're trying to address that and get it burned up as efficiently as possible. However, it's still a problem, and we're still getting calls from the neighbors. The contractor has agreed tomorrow to try to see if the fire department can put some water on it and get it put out, and then let it go out completely, and then try to remove the ash and debris to another site. Just anything we can do to try to minimize the smoke out there. And the town of Weaverville has talked to them about, again, using an air curtain incinerator, which would be our preference. And they might just decide to grind what's left. So they're working through that right now, the town of Weaverville, with the contractor SDR.
Is there an education component that we need to get involved in?
Yes.
That goes along with Keith's agency too.
Yes, the DAQ has been very, proactive and assisting us, and we have materials, out on our website. We're doing outreach. We need to do more, but that is definitely a focus, and I think that it's something that's coming up later in the agenda. There's a new group that we've joined, this post-Helene community neighborhood and built environment group, that I think it's going to be a big focus of ours this year, is trying to do more and more outreach with open burning. Not just storm debris burning, but open burning in general. I think it's going to be something that we're going to try to do.
The reason I asked that, I noticed lately on the next door community thing, there have been several comments of people saying, my neighbor's burning whatever, construction debris or whatever. What can I do about it? And it appears as if most of the public has no idea who to call.
Yeah, I think open burning has always been a difficult thing. We try to do outreach with the fire departments, and we've been talking to the county. One of the things that we are finding is there's still a lot of land clearing going on right now. And that's one of the big issues that we have, is that the 500-foot setback. A lot of times we get complaints about land clearing, open burning, and we go out and we find that this 500-foot setback is not being met. So currently we're providing comments to developers that have to come through the Board of Adjustment on things like that. But we're talking to the county about trying to put something on the planning department's application page about the 500-foot setback, so that when contractors go on to get their permits to start developing, that they'll see that. So there's definitely a lot of work. I think that we can do more on outreach. And maybe that's something that I think the advisory committee can help us with this year too. We do have some additional outreach. Allison has put together some letters for us to send out on some of the complaints, kind found some better ways of getting information out into the neighborhoods too. In addition to going out, when we go on an investigation and leaving information, we have some templates for some letters that we can send out and try to do more outreach that way too. So I think it's an ongoing thing that we're working on. But certainly, like folks on Nextdoor, can call us and we will definitely investigate. So we're very busy. Mike, I know, runs the majority of our complaints, and I think that would you say they're up?
Yeah. Even though they do have 500 feet and not be legal, there is a lot of smoke around those things. We still get calls of a lot of the legal fires that are legal, but they do meet the setbacks.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not much we can do if they meet that. It used to be 1,000 feet, and we had a lot less burning being allowed for the land clearings. But the legislature in the hurricane relief bill, they did allow the burning of engineered wood until March 31st of 2025 in storm debris. And so that is something that, again, we look for.
What's the history of the setback going to 510,000?
The legislature changed it.
General Assembly.
Yes. Yes, I think it was maybe around 2010 or so. Some of those early regulatory reform bills. And so at the time, our board did not want to adopt that change. However, we had to eventually because it was the law and the law trumps our regulations. And so we had no choice to adopt it. So I think we're gonna be busy with burning for quite a while. And the other thing is the demolition and asbestos removal permits. I think Mike reported back in November that we had done 100 of those right around that time frame.
So we're right at 130, give or take a few right now from the time that's including when we started. They are starting to, they'll be ongoing. They're waiting on insurance companies, FEMA, a lot of these, so there's still a lot of demo to do. So we've really not even really touched a lot of the surface permitting them. So I do want to add that I checked with the city today. They have done, I told you the county's done about 2,100, look, 2,100 damage assessments on properties so far, and the city is around 16, almost 1,700 damage assessments on structures. So we're right at within the county, over 3,700 structures that they assessed.
So initially, we weren't charging fees for the demolition permits because that same hurricane relief bill stated that cities and counties could not charge building permit fees and fees related to Helene. And so we are still tracking those, but that provision expired on December the 31st. So the county permits and inspections department and our agency both started charging fees again. It is still being tracked by the system called Excella, where applicants check a box if something is Helene related, but we are back to charging fees for those now.
I assume that will have a positive effect on our budget.
We'll see. I think so. I think there's still a lot of demolitions to be done, right? So
What we do on demolitions probably a year, maybe a year.
okay, so if there's no other questions on that, the next item I have is the Post-Helene Community Neighborhood and Built Environment Group. And this is a group that we were asked to join. It was started by the Department of Health and Human Services, or it was started by the county under sort of their umbrella. It's part of the Helene recovery. The county has several different functions as far as, different economic development, health, different initiatives that they're doing as part of the recovery. And so this group, the Coastal Community Neighborhood Built Environment Group, there's some of our coworkers from environmental health are on that. Allison and I are participating, and planning department, I think permits and inspections, and hopefully solid waste will participate. So we've only met one time, but it's all about doing outreach and trying to think about the community and what their needs are, and what our agencies can offer. You know, with us, obviously, there's open burning, there's dust, there's demolitions, there's things like in the indoor environment, like lead paint or asbestos that could be hazards, or mold from flood cleanup. But I think that it will be helpful, and kind of towards Ned's question is doing outreach. I think it will be a good avenue for us to kind of get out in the community and do some outreach, especially with regards to open burning. Allison has worked on an environmental justice and equity policy for us, and it's dovetailing in nicely with that. We've got some new materials that she's put together, like a one-pager with air quality awareness information and the type of things that we can help with, like dust, burning, odors, air quality in general, things of that nature. So again, that group has just met once, but we're participating in that. So provide future updates on that. Looking at things that we can track and how we will know when the area has fully recovered. You know, what's changing, what kind of data are we currently keeping? So I think things like the first things that come to mind for me is, you know, having these air curtain incinerators, burning storm debris, and, you know, once all that is gone, you know, that's one thing that I think would be indicative of recovery. But so I think that's a
Positive thing.
Yep. Moving on from that, the next thing I have on my report, and I'll let Steve talk about this when he gets to monitoring also, but I just wanted to mention that we are working on siting a new ozone monitoring site at Buncombe, at the AB Tech campus. This is something I think we mentioned in a previous meeting, where when Haywood County was removed from our MSA a year or two ago, that changed the landscape as far as our area and how many ozone monitors that we're required to have to meet the EPA standards. And since the one that the state had over in Haywood County wouldn't count anymore, is that correct? We needed to add another one here in our area. So we're working with DAQ, and we're currently part of their, it's called a PQAO, Primary Quality Assurance Organization. So it's like the QA QC branch. We get support from them. And so they really like the AB Tech site. And so we are planning to host the monitor there. Of course, the biggest consideration is of course cost, as far as what putting up a new ozone site is going to cost. And fortunately, we did get some new ozone equipment from EPA and some of these one-time grants we've been getting these last 3 years from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act. And so we actually had new monitors and spare new monitors. So it looks like the EPA, you know, that we can essentially use the spares for the new monitors and get additional spares later. And the DAQ has offered to let us use a new building of theirs under a memorandum of agreement. So that's going to really cut the cost significantly. So we're working on that right now. It has to go out, as far as it has to be put together in the network plan that the state issues every year. So we're currently working with AB Tech. Steve's been busy. I should say Steve is working with AB Tech, getting everything together for that. So we'll have some additional funds in the budget for that, but it shouldn't be a whole lot since we're in good shape with the building and the other new equipment that we got. Okay, so moving along, we do have some surplus ozone monitoring equipment that has been in our lab for quite a while. And we are looking at the possibility of trying to sell that or donate it to someone that could use it. So we're in the process of trying to get that on GovDeals so that we can see if we can find anyone that would be willing to buy it. James and Steve did some research and found where some other programs were able to sell some of that older equipment. Also, UNCA is interested in using it, so it would be great if we could donate it. However, if we can get funds for it, we really need to do that. So it hasn't been posted on GovDeals yet, but we'll let you know. And if it doesn't get purchased in a reasonable amount of time, we'll probably come back to the board and ask for permission to donate it to UNCA.
We're asking, you said $2,000.
Well, we think that the most we could possibly get for it, based on what we've seen online, the other agencies got, it could be worth $2,500 roughly. We did ask for a minimum bid of $1,000.
Every little bit helps.
Yep. All right, so the only other thing that I had on my report was website updates. We have done a lot of work on our website recently to try to get some more content on there and try to make it a little more concise. So check it out if you have a chance. We've added some information. We've rewritten a lot of the introductory information and put in information about the history of the agency. And we now have our Title V permits on there, and some other improvements that we'd like to make. It's kind of coming along. The county is going to be moving to a new platform where we will be putting content on there ourselves. So in preparation for that, we're trying to get more content. We're trying to get it updated so that when it switches over and we have to update it, it will be in good shape. So
Curiosity question. I get asked this question from time to time. DAQ puts out the forecast, air quality forecast, and you see a lot of yellow days. People ask me, well, why are we having yellow days when it's in the middle of the winter and it seems like it's as good as it's going to get. So where does the yellow come from?
Have you looked out at the mountains this afternoon to the west? Tremendous haze there covering all the mountains.
Well, one thing that's happened is they dropped the standard for PM 2.5.
I'm sorry?
They dropped the standard for PM 2.5 this year, around February, I think it was.
Is that what's triggering the yellow?
So most of that is due to that. So the threshold for yellow dropped when the standard dropped.
Yeah, some days that would have been green before are now yellow because of this.
Okay.
The whole
It just seemed like I was seeing a lot more yellow recently, and we talk about air quality improving, and then I'm seeing all these yellow days.
That's the main factor.
In a
I
lot
think
more
we
haze.
figured out, right before you got here, we looked at it, it's gonna be roughly at least 2 extra, or there's 60 extra days, of yellow days, possibly, because of that readjustment.
Thanks.
yeah, it's getting harder and harder to meet the standard when it gets lowered like that. Thanks for asking that question, because that's something we knew we were going to get asked a lot when the standard changed last year. So the last item that I had before Steve's monitoring update is Radon Awareness Month. It's January, and we did put some money in the budget this year for free radon test kits. The state hasn't given those out in a few years, and we've had a lot of interest. So we bought 100 free radon test kits, and we just put them on the website like a day ago, or I think it was Tuesday. So they're up there at the front. If anyone would like a free radon test kit while you're here, stop at the front, and we'll give you one. If you haven't tested your home, we encourage that. Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the United States, and we do have high levels here because of the granite and soil and around here. I think Keith did a webinar. I think, did I see where you did a webinar about radon?
I was part of a webinar with Philip Gibson, talked about radon. He's the state coordinator of the, I can't remember what the name of the program, but he does radon education for the entire state. And there was a doctor who did kind of the health stuff, and then I followed up at the end where how he protect your health. It should, you have the website resources that show them here now and all that. So, yeah, so we had 3 speakers an hour, so, and I was third, so I had like 5 minutes.
Hey, thanks. All right.
The lung cancer coalition.
Thanks. All right, Steve, you're up for the monitoring update.
Okay, well, real quickly before I jump into well, I guess you got that on first thing on the update. We'll talk about the temporary monitors, since that's first. As I mentioned, I need to go up there. I'll just sit up here. How's that? Okay. I had the same problem last time. As Ashley mentioned earlier, we have deployed several monitors in anticipation of burning that's going to be taking place of storm debris. And so different areas of the county. And so I put this map together here. This shows, so the red markers are purple air locations that we deployed. And the 2 blue that you see are EBAMs that were loaned to us by the state. One of those is at Fairview Elementary, and the other one is at the ARO, Asheville Regional Office. If you'll notice closely, there's a blue dot and a red dot right beside each other. And the reason for that is that the state has been having trouble with communications, getting data from those monitors, those EBAMs that we deployed. So we don't really have real-time data. We can download that data on a regular intervals, but don't have up to the minute data. So we deployed purple airs in those locations until they get that communications issue worked out. Once that happens, we'll probably redeploy those somewhere else in the county. And so the next slides that I've got there, I've pulled off some of the data from the purple airs. And I've got 2 slides here because the couple of sites, I think that's Barnersville and I can't read that. You have to say Lester. Yeah. They had a few high peaks in there, and these are just 1 hour values. So it's most of the data is well below the standard, but these 1 hour values cause the scale to go really high. So I made 2 graphs to show that. So honestly, there's just a few little spikes there. For the most part, it's been pretty low. And the next slide just shows the remainder of the sites kind of graphed together. That looks a little taller, but the scale is a lot smaller. So it's not, it's a less concentration than the other ones. But and then the last slide is a plot of the, we didn't get that one. I had a plot of the EBAM data. It was 24-hour averages, but anyway, it was similarly low. So I don't think we've seen anything drastic up to this point. So the other thing I wanted to mention at the last board meeting, I gave you some stats, excuse me, about our 2024 completeness. But at that time, it wasn't a complete year yet. So I wanted to update you with those figures. For ozone, we had 95% completeness. And our design value ended up being a 60 for the 21 through 24 time period. And the completeness for our BAM PM 2.5 monitor was 95.62. We ended up with a design value of 6.1. And just to caveat, that last quarter of data is in, but it's not been validated yet. So, but I don't expect that number to change. So, I was going to speak also about the monitor the proposed monitor at AB Tech. We were really excited about
the things that happened with this, because we were worried about the expense of operating this site. And the biggest expense was going to be the building. Um, the state had 2 new buildings coming, and they just offered, and so that really took a big burden off of us. We already have power meter base there for the current toxics monitor that's there. And so we won't have to incur any costs for electrician or any work like that. I've been working with Jason Rogers in permitting. The permitting is going to go through very quickly. So if things keep going well, I anticipate we should be able to put that building down late summer and be ready to operate when the ozone season starts in 2026, March 1st. The one cost we will incur for this site, the building that we're putting there, it's a little heavier than the other ones that we've had, and it will require a concrete pad. I've been working with Ronnie Lunsford with General Services. They're going to facilitate getting that pad poured. He's been taking lead on communicating with AB Tech and getting their approval. We've gotten verbal approval. They're working up as she said, MOU or what was the term you used? What a memorandum of understanding. It was. Yeah, I don't recall, but okay. So they're going to get that to us soon. As soon as we have that in hand, I'll get the permitting approved and we can start pouring the pad. So yeah, that's all going really well. So knock on wood, things will keep going well. And as Ashley mentioned, we had the spare set of monitors. At some point, we'll want to buy another spare set because we'll be operating 2 sites. To begin with, I believe we can use the current iModel monitors as spares. They won't last forever though. And they've discontinued those models, so they won't be making parts for them either going down the road. So at some point we will have to buy a set of, I'm anticipating probably within 3 or 4 years, we would want to get a set of replacement monitors, maybe buy one year and one the next, so the analyzer 1 year, the calibrator the next, something like that. But this is a picture of the building, just exactly like the one we're going to be operating there. And so
Steve, where exactly on AB Tech's campus is this?
So I don't recall the street name. Can you pull that map up?
So it's on the backside.
It is.
Where the ball field was?
Yeah.
Check out the building, it's just down there next to the maintenance building.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
We did have a building there. It was an 8x8 building that they operated the toxics out of. And then it was an old building. It got dilapidated, it had to be removed, and they put a smaller enclosure there. It's not a walk-in building. It's just an environmental enclosure to house the sampler. And that's been there. It's what's currently there, but the toxics monitor and the ozone monitor can go in the same building, the new building. It's a state-of-the-art building. It's designed specifically for environmental monitoring. It's got a mini split for environmental controls. Everything's top of the line with this. So we're really fortunate that they're providing this for us to use. And so we're real excited about it. And so, yeah, he's got it coming up here.
Basically where this thing says AB Tech walking trails.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's on.
Back section of this.
It's coming. It's just what you can't see here is that that's a pretty steep drop off behind. So one thing that's happened there, they've completely pulled up the pavement there and are making a stormwater basin, I think. And that's under construction right now, but we got in just in time with Ronnie Lunsford, and he's working the logistics out with the
they be taken so we can get the building in there. And so everything worked out really well time-wise. So, that's all I have unless anybody's got any questions.
Just going to point out that on the graph, it looks like the high level on this one is around 40, 45.
Right. And again, these are 1 hour averages, not 24-hour averages, which is what the standard is based on. So 24-hour plot would be much lower. I just plotted it this way so that you could see the temporary effects, possibly, maybe from smoke. We don't know exactly what from, but that if you were going to see effects from smoke, it would be a very temporary. So in order to see something like that on plot, I would want to see 24 hourly averages as opposed to 24-hour.
Yeah, that looks good. And the 24-hour standard is 35, right?
Correct.
So got some hourlies, 45.
So yeah, I mean, I would say those are going to be in the teens for a 24, or less possibly. But these aren't regulatory monitors, and we just put them out there as to give us indication if there's something going on in a certain area, or and so that's another reason I wanted to plot it this way, so that, we could see kind of on an instantaneous type basis, what's going on in a given area. And so I would anticipate, if we saw a heavy load somewhere, we could always relocate one of the EBAMs that we're currently, they're real easy to move around. So if we felt like we wanted a more regulatory type monitor in a location, we could make that happen.
Great, thanks, Steve.
Sure.
It's been a lot of extra work for Steve. He's got all these sensors out, and they are on the EPA Air Now site. If you go to the fire and smoke map, you can see all the purple airs. So we have really good coverage. Really good for public awareness, and I think the meteorologists are looking at them too, and they're doing the forecasting. So next we have permit renewals. Joel?
So we got 3 of them. We're talking about crematories earlier. So Harwood Home for Funerals Incorporated, small classification, update the general conditions. Is that Alex? Is that you that authored that one?
Yes.
Any comments about what it is for the board?
No, there's no change. So, there's no equipment changes or anything. It's just an update to the general conditions and kind of getting the text more in line with, as we kind of open some of our new permits with changing the agency name, things like that, we'll update some of the condition text to reflect what we are now.
Okay. We'll go ahead and entertain a motion. Stay right there since you've got some of these others too. I'll entertain a motion to approve this permit for Harwood Home for Funerals Incorporated.
So moved. Second.
Comment.
Okay. Discussion.
Do you want to do all 3 at the same time or separate?
Sometimes we do it all at the same time. Just kind of got on the roll here.
Okay.
Why not? We'll do them one at a time since we started that way. All right. Any further comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, Alex, Mission Hospital on Hendersonville Road, another small facility. Again, update general conditions, same story.
Yeah, they just have 2 emergency generators on site that maintain the hospital's data center in the event of emergency. So Hurricane Helene, they were very active in keeping things going and data flowing through the hospital system.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve Mission Hospital.
So moved.
Ned, second. Second by Gary. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. All right, finally, Tolco. Is this you too, Alex?
Mhm.
It is, yeah. Another small one, manufacturer of custom electric heaters, update the general conditions.
Yeah, the only change they're adding, I believe, 1 insignificant process, and it just exhausts heat. There are no emissions from it, just heat.
Move to approve.
Second. Second by Ned. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Wasn't too bad, wasn't it? All right. On to new business. So we do have some new business today. So our advisory committee, which has been very active over the past couple of years, Ned's participated in it, Keith's been on it, under Evan Kuzo's leadership. And with Evan's departure, we've got an opening for the chair of that group. And so I put that on the agenda so we could talk about it. Obviously, we have a connection with UNCA, with Caitlin staying the course with that. But Ned has volunteered to chair the committee going forward. And I think that's a good idea. Caitlin has also agreed to actually be a part of the committee. So wanted to throw that out for any board discussion. Y'all think that's a good idea. I think
Good idea.
I'd like to go with it. Do we require a motion for that? I wonder.
So moved.
Okay, so we'll, maybe we need a motion to appoint. No? Okay, all right, we'll leave it at that. So welcome, Ned. Thank you very much for volunteering.
Yeah, thanks, Ed.
And Caitlin, you too, because the UNCA connection's super important to us. Other business, legal counsel report, Amy?
Nothing to report as usual.
Nothing to report. And advisory committee report, we did not meet in December, and we made some, obviously some decisions here today to move that forward. It's typically every other month, I believe, Ashley, that the
Yes,
advisory committee meets.
Months that the board does not meet.
So perhaps that'll end up being a February thing.
Probably. We have not met since Hurricane Helene and Evan leaving, so we probably try to start back up in February or April.
All right. And we're down to the calendar. So Ashley and I both have a little bit of a conflict on the next meeting. I think it was going to be what day? March 13th. We were wondering if we could shift it a week either way. Could still say on a Thursday if it needed to be. I think Caitlin's, your class schedule allows you to meet on one other day that in a week too, right?
Yeah, well, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. But
Tuesday,
I don't know if
Thursday.
anyone wants
Okay.
to meet on a Friday.
Yeah, nobody wants to do that. So anyway, I open that up for any comments, suggestions on what we ought to do about that.
Is the room available, Frank?
We should be probably good, but either way. I think. well,
On Thursday, like the Thursday before or the Thursday after the scheduled time? March 6th or
The 20th.
I checked for the week before, but no one ever has that. Every once in a blue moon. That's the other question. Is it will probably be here, but we are going to be moving.
we did.
That was my next question, is where is it?
We did
Because I
talk
heard you
to,
were on the move.
I talked to Scott from General Services today, and he said probably late March. So I told him that we would want to do it after, we would want to move after our board meeting. And I think that'll work out well whenever the board meeting is, since we're looking at the end of March for the move.
Why don't we do March 6th?
I'll have a
Like
conflict.
I said, free to that.
I'll have a conflict on the 5th through the 11th, and then the next week, the 20th through the 23rd. But you all are welcome to go ahead and meet.
Thanks, Carl. Guys, Ed, you're,
I'm
Either one.
flexible.
Either one's fine with me. Just tell me which one you'll do.
I'll ask our director.
Well, later is usually better for us, because it gives us a
Oh,
little
gives you
more
more
time
time.
to get
I
the
got you.
permits
So
ready.
the 20th then,
20th or
20th.
could you do the 18th, Carl? If we did it on Tuesday?
See what's going on the 18th. I could do it on Tuesday. I only have something in the morning that day.
You okay, Kevin? Okay. Let's do that, 18th at 4. So we'll adjust the calendar for that. I think the rest of the dates in the calendar are good for the moment. So next meeting's on March 18th at 4 here, I guess, unless we get another more direction on where we will
Should be
meet.
here, yes.
I'll let
And
you guys
even
know.
even once we move, we can still use this room for the meetings if we want to. I don't think we really want to, because it's more convenient. But
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. Any announcements from the board? Okay, I'll say one. Welcome, Caitlin, again. Glad to have you on board. And I noticed there was no public comment when I checked when we were doing Betsy's thing, so we'll move on to adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second by Gary, we're adjourned.
Okay, well, please have some